Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome back to another Word Study Wednesday. I am working in my Word Study Journal from the James Method. I will put my affiliate link down below in the description if you're interested in using that. But today I am looking at the word circumspectly, and I have written that out with my Pentel Sign brush pen. The verse says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." And I'm going to go ahead and put my Strong's number, which is G199, but I started out using these big tile alphas from By the Well for God, and I realized as I got into this that there is not a second number 9, so I'm going to just kind of make do. So I put down a number 1. I'm going to pull out my Mr. Pen Slick Writer. This is the one that writes on those, transparent sticky notes, and I'm just going to fix that number. So now it says G199. I'm writing down the transliteration and all the kind of pertinent basic information here. So the definition from Strong's is exactly, circumspectly, diligently, perfectly, but I also included the Merriam-Webster definition, which is careful to consider all circumstances and possible consequences. Kind of felt like that was really important to include. I always like to look up both the biblical definition and, the English just definition, just for contrast. I wrote down the concordance information. I also wrote down some lexicon information of some other corresponding Strong's numbers, and I will get back to that in a minute. So this word occurs a few times in the New Testament here. So I'm starting out now on the notes and nuggets section by kind of going through and writing out several of the verses where this word is translated differently. So Matthew 2:8 says, "And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, 'Go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also.'" That word diligently is that same word. Luke 1:3, "It seemed good to me also, having had perfect understanding of all things from the very first, to write into thee in order, most excellent Theophilus." And then that verse goes on. Perfect here is that word, that same word as circumspectly. Acts 18:25, "This man was instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in the Spirit, he spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord, knowing only the baptism of John." So this word here is diligently. Now, verse 18:26 of Acts shows up in the interlinear version, but it doesn't have that Strong's number showing. So I'm just kind of showing you here. You can go into the app, you can select that little slide bar, and it's going to show you all of the Strong's numbers for all of the words in each of those verses. And I just went through it because I could kind of see that there was that root G196 that connects to G197. 197 is actually the neuter form of G196. That word is more perfectly. So it's like just, a little bit of a different definition, but it still showed up in my search. And so I'm going to go ahead and write it down. So Acts 18:26 says, "And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took him unto them and expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly." And so this actually has a definition in G197, and it kind of get there in a backwards way. So if you're ever, looking at your Blue Letter Bible app and you see like there's a verse there, but your Strong's number isn't showing up, just select that little slide bar, get all of the Strong's references in there, and then you can kind of go through and look for the numbers that are sort of around maybe the number that you're looking for, and see if you can find out the information that you're looking for that way. So I wrote also 1 Thessalonians 5:2, which says, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night." And then my main takeaway is just some thoughts kind of that I had rolling around in my head. So I wrote, "In order to redeem the time," which is verse 16 of Ephesians 5, "we must carefully consider our ways. We must constantly consider the consequences of our actions and choices, just as Moses gave the warning to choose life." Romans tells us the wages of sin is death. "Be diligent in examining how you walk, in the Spirit or in the flesh," which is Galatians 5. "Walk carefully and be wise." And so these kind of, had several just random things kind of floating in my head. So at least those are kind of the references that I was thinking about with, Moses' warning to the Israelites. He set before them a blessing and a curse, choose life was his admonition. And Romans just tells us, that the wages of sin is death. So we need to be examining constantly how we are walking. And Galatians 5 talks about walking in the Spirit. If you're in the Spirit, walk after the Spirit. If you're in the flesh, that whole chapter. Obviously, I can't squeeze all of that in my main takeaway, so I'm just kind of giving a rough reference there. But that's what I'm going to write down. And as always, I usually run out of room for my little notes here. And as I was actually writing these out, this is the thing that I love about this process so much is I'm starting to write out kind of my main takeaway, and it just is, scriptures are just coming to me. So back and forth, I'm kind of going to my Blue Letter Bible app and looking up some of those scriptures just to make sure that I have the references right and looking through other things. And those are the kind of the rabbit trails that you need to go down when you feel impressed to do so. So I'm just writing up the definitions for these other Strong's numbers of 196 and 197 because they relate to 199. 196 says exact and of the strictest sect or most straightest, which I know is not really the way that we would use in the English, but that is the definition in the Blue Letter Bible app. And then G197 is more exactly or more perfectly, and that's how we saw that in that Acts verse. And so I'm going through here now, and I'm using the color blue. I don't know if I have mentioned this before, but I am tying my word studies in with another full deck challenge where I'm decorating cards. And so I do like an art sort of response. And each week those have color prompts. And so that's what I'm trying to do. The color prompts this week were black and white and a pop of color. And so you'll see I went through with this pop of color is blue, but I chose a different color, a different shade of blue for that G197, just so that I could kind of delineate that it's not actually the same exact Strong's number, but they do correspond, if that makes sense. So, and then I decided to just add a little bit of some black and white washi in a couple different places. I always run out of room for like the fun decorative type of things on my notes. I think I need to start doing that first so that I can kind of work around it or figure out a different way. So I'm just going to go through here and add a few pieces of washi, and then I lost some footage here. I don't know if my phone shut off or what, but then I did add just a little bit more of some blue color to those banners. Nothing major, just keeping it super simple this week, and that's okay. Really just wanted to think about this word and really how it applies to our life, and what we should be doing, that really just constantly being aware of how we're walking, being carefully considering all of the things that we do and the consequences of the actions and the decisions that we make along the way. So here are some close-up shots. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Consider joining my Facebook group as well. That information will be in the description. And until next time, bye.